It's well known that the Vilna Gaon became an icon for the Torah and Yeshiva world over the past 200 years because of the great devotion to learning Torah and dealing with all areas of the Torah. He wasn't just a person who knew Talmud itself inside out, or that he knew mystical things, or he knew the Tanakh, but everything, in every area of the Torah he was involved, and each area of the Torah enhanced his understanding of the other area of Torah. And he always tried to find original sources. Even for later customs and things, he would only give them legitimization if he could find some kind of a remez, some kind of a hint to them in earlier sources, whether it be in the Talmud or the Mishnah, to something in the Torah or in the Nevi'im or Ketuvim.
Tell me a little bit about the Vilna Gaon.
He was born in 1720, and he passed on 1797. It was in Vilna, in Lithuania. At a very young age, already there were stories how he gave a drasha at age 6 among the important sages in Vilna at the time. His father was a rabbinical personality, Shlomo Zalman of Vilna. He was descended from a lineage of other Torah scholars. At a young age, the Vilna Gaon was known to be very sharp and knowledgeable of Torah. He had great insights, and he continued developing himself in that way. Pretty much as an individualist, he learned by himself. He had little contact with other students and whatever, and he didn't have many students of his own at that time, at the earlier stage of his life. But he had this drive to try to repair incorrect passages that were printed in the books that were available at the time, in the Talmud, Talmud Bavli, Talmud Yerushalmi, all the original sources of Chazal. And during his lifetime, he didn't publish anything, but students published afterwards, according to his will. And they started publishing. They had things, passages from the Vilna Gaon, which were published in all areas of Torah. And that's one way where we know that he was involved in everything. Also, at the later part of his life, he did have a yeshiva, or beit midrash, that he founded, that he had chosen students that he worked with. That was the last 18 years of his life in Vilna. And many of those students were the ones who recorded afterwards things that they heard from their teacher, their mentor, the GRA, or things that about the Vilna Gaon. They're like the primary source of what we know today about the Vilna Gaon. And when we take all those passages together, we see that the Gaon himself, as I said before, was involved in all areas of Torah, but that he also professed that a Talmid Chacham needs to know general sciences, areas of knowledge are needed in order to understand the Torah better. And he's quoted as saying that whatever a Talmid Chacham will lack in general sciences, he will lack tenfold in understanding the Torah. He saw that the Torah and knowledge, or scientific knowledge, the world, go together. Vilna Gaon was very much excited about Geula, about redemption. He had a very messianic side to himself. He didn't profess himself as the Mashiach. At most he said, I am a spark of Mashiach ben Yosef. Okay? And he and his students developed this whole concept of Mashiach ben Yosef, who would prepare the foundations for Kibbutz Galuyot and the building of Beit HaMikdash, and then the becoming of or appearance of Mashiach ben David. So when he professed to his students that it's necessary to go to Eretz Yisrael, and this is almost 100 years before secular and political Zionism, he impressed upon them that they were going to Eretz Yisrael knowing that just like when we learn Torah, we have to invest our energies in Torah and our intellect, and not expect the Torah to come down with an angel from the Shemayim who will implant it in our heads and hearts. So the same thing with Eretz Yisrael. We have to be able to deal with the basic necessities of our building our lives in Eretz Yisrael, knowing that there are hardships ahead of us to settle the land. The land is barren. There's a sparse population. The cities and have to be built. The institutions of Torah have to be built in Eretz Yisrael. All that with a great vision to the far future. The Gaon wasn't afraid of challenges. He said, meet the challenges. They had to go to Eretz Israel, deal with the hardship there. And there many of his students and their families, many perished with the diseases, and there was an earthquake in Sfat in the 1830s, and their community was destroyed. And then they moved to Yerushalayim, and they kept on going. They had this feeling that the Gaon inspired them, that he didn't give them a map exactly, step by step, year by year, what's going to happen, and just sit back and watch the show. No, you have to be involved. You have to do your part for redemption. And we're still not in the Geulah Shlema. But that's why what I said at the beginning about the connection between Vilna and Har Etzion. We're here at Har Etzion. It's other institutions. But an institution that realizes that it's the combination of Torah and Geula that go together, Torah and redemption, that energy was released by the Gaon Vilna. We opened it this week with a nice evening, including a tour of the exhibit, special explanations by myself, and also we had a couple of lectures that evening about the GRA's heritage in Torah and Geula. And we will have the exhibit to the public through Elul. And most of the items that are on display from the private collection of Mr. Yeshayahu Vinograd of Yerushalayim, who himself is a descendant of students of the GRA who came to Eretz Yisrael to Yerushalayim. His family goes back many generations in Yerushalayim, of course, and he's a bibliographer, and he's done much important bibliographical work and research, recording much of our printed Torah heritage of the past 400 or 500 years, and also has great affinity to the GRA, and he published an extensive bibliography, Otzar Sifrei HaGra, of books that were published, which include things of the GRA himself, and things that are written about the GRA, or based on the GRA's writings. He has honored us by allowing us to display his things here in our library, special things, and we have added to the display a good number of items from our own collection, our own special library in Yeshivat Har Etzion Library, which enhanced the greater picture which I described before of the Vilna Gaon.
Great. Can we see it?
We can see it. The opening display of the items have to do with the Vilna Gaon. I called it Giluyei Eliyahu, the revelations of Eliyahu Vilna, and B'Torah B'Geula. That is a poster which was published in Vilna 100 years after his passing. It means towards the end of the 19th century. The other one is not dated. However, it's very similar to the one you photographed before. And that is the one which the family member said was hanging in the house of one of his granddaughters. This same part of the exhibit shows a couple of items that were somehow connected with the GRA, maybe even been in his possession. We have one book here, which is a halachic codex written around the Shulchan Aruch. It's called a Sefer Ateret Tzvi. It's not the original title page because I wanted people to see this inscription here. This book was published about the time the GRA was born. However, based on the inscription on the top of the page, it seems that it was given to the GRA for his bar mitzvah. It says here, matana l'drasha, maybe the drasha or bar mitzvah, whatever. Chatan, hatorani, hamufla, hamushlam, hagadol, Eliyahu ben Nifod Moreno Shlomo Zalman. And it even says who gave it to him, a rabbi from a different community. I asked the owner of the collection, how do you know it was for his bar mitzvah? It says Chatan. He says he got married the same year anyway, so it doesn't make much of a difference. Here we have a Tanakh cover, which is in the family of the Gaon. And the inscription says on it that this is a Tanakh that the Gaon learned with. Liot Hillel was one of the first attempted to put together a biography of the Vilna Gaon. It was done in the mid-19th century. We have here also a couple of more modern books on genealogy of the descendants of the Gaon of Vilna. Those are in English. We have this energy of the Gaon of Vilna, which is going with us.